With us today we have Mr. Hitesh Bhatia. He is the AVP of Engineering at Xtelify, erstwhile Airtel Digital. Along with Hitesh, we have Avdesh. He is Director at Searce. In this fireside chat today, we'll be discussing with Hitesh and learning some of his stories on how he planned, decided, strategized about the movement. So that brings me to my first question to you, Hitesh. Airtel Digital's movement was a significant one in the overall strategy. What were some of the key challenges that you faced and how did you navigate them?
We knew AWS. AWS was default cloud for us, but Google was something new. That is where Searce helped us navigate. And getting the right set of partners, right time really helped. That's one. Second is educating our teams. That really helped. Right from start, as I said, AWS was tool of choice. So educating our team about GCP, getting the sessions done, understanding what we're going to do, what was really helpful. Then I would say it's a medium mind shift as well, because one cloud to another. So our engineering teams worked with us, helped us navigate.
Awesome. You mentioned about the changes in the team. That this brings to a very critical topic of the change in an organization. How did you approach that?
We were always on cloud, and we were used to working in a way like a matured startup. We were accustomed to doing 20 plus deployments a day. And when we started on GCP, all the teams came on board. Security team, network team, CS, and we understood what we were doing was not really Airtel standards. So getting everyone on board, everyone on single table really helped.
And I would like to add one more thing, just to give you the scale at which the whole thing happened. Here we're looking about 100 million users platform. Has more than, I think, 10 PB of object storage, and again, exabyte. I mean, that's the first time in a telco I looked at that kind of data. So that's the scale, few hundred microservices. And when we entered, there were two organizations. One organization which was looking for agility. I mean, they're looking really want to move things really fast and with minimum number of guardrails. Please don't stop us. We want to achieve so many things. And again, Airtel Enterprise, they want to make sure that everything is secure, compliant, and whatever you create, it's stable. So this was journey for all of us, where we engaged everyone in the workshops. So we had really extensive workshops covering each aspect, where we took decisions, and then when we build consensus across teams how to go about it. These are the pros, what you're asking, these are the cons you're asking, and eventually we reconciled and move on. We took a little bit of time, but I think that effort was worthwhile, because the kind of enterprise foundation we built, it was a stepping stone for them to create many more things on top of that.
The major reason for this was we as a being, it's an end user service. End users were the consumers, and for most of the Airtel, it's the internal users. So for us, it was really important to dish features out very frequently.
I'm sure that it must have been months that you put in all these efforts. How has they resulted in terms of transforming you digitally at Airtel Digital?
Where we started was planning right, getting the right partner at the right time. With the help of CS specifically, we were able to create our network and VPCs in a way that we are ready to scale for future. Even now, if we had more products, like one of the products we added recently is called IPTV. Because that structures and boundaries were in place, we are able to start new projects like it, which initially was not possible for us. So with right structure, right boundaries in place, we are able to scale now, adding new projects very frequently.
Any additional perspective?
We use a cookie cutter approach, where onboarding a new application is really straightforward, and since everything in terms of networking, security, all things are in place, and you have a DevOps pipeline parameterized. Onboarding a new application, I believe we made it really, really simple. So we were able to cut down a lot of time. And I think this is going to help Airtel in future in terms of strategy.
You have already conquered that. Do you plan to be vendor agnostic in future? How have you approached the vendor lock-in issue?
So even when we got to an understanding that we need to move to a different cloud, so at that time we started understanding that these are some services which we can probably move from managed services to our Kubernetes cluster, or let's say 2 VMs. which in a way, for example, Lambda function, something like S3 storage, it really helped us when we pre-planned. It became even more easier to migrate one Kubernetes cluster to other, as compared to moving from one Lambda function to Google Cloud function. That would have been different. Pre-planning was really important in this case. And again, there were a lot of managed services which we eventually ended up moving. So cleaning, for example, we moved petabytes of data, as Avdesh mentioned. So cleaning the data before moving really helped us in saving cost. Although we did do it after moving as well, where we burned money as well. But that if that would have done with better planning, we would have saved a lot more.
In terms of compute, everything was running primarily on Kubernetes, which means, again, it is vendor agnostic. In terms of all the data layers which Airtel Digital is using, we ended up creating Ansible. So we leveraged Ansible to orchestrate all the database layers, and that's how eventually that can also be used across cloud. So we have a data layer and we have a compute layer, both vendor agnostic. The only few then moving parts are there, right? In a system when we have really less number of moving parts, the migration becomes easy, because now we are talking about the higher load balancer, object storage. We need to make certain changes. So I believe less number of moving parts and little bit of planning ahead of time helped us move that faster.
Thanks to that, we already have a pool of Ansible playbooks, and everything that we do to infrastructure becomes part of code, becomes part of our GitHub cycle.
While you moved from one cloud to another, what was your approach and planning towards shift in the cost structure and the target of the TCO? Did you really achieve it?
Thankfully, our leadership kept us humble in that case. So cost is of interest to everyone. So leadership were doing regular cadence with us, and to make sure that we were able to answer their questions, we had right tagging at all the places. And even right now, what we do is, whenever we are developing a feature, we make sure it's properly tagged. Cost of deploying feature is very important to us. So if, let's say, we deploy a feature and we are not getting ROI, probably is not the right place to be. So putting tags at right places, doing cadence.
And any other perspective on the FinOps approaches?
I've seen three type of organizations when they either migrate from on-prem to cloud or from cloud to cloud. They do optimize, right? At what stage? And I will bring my perspective. Certain organizations want to right size even before migration. I've seen a lot of deliveries failing because you're adding a lot of moving parts in between. Here, we were not part of that regime. Then there are other organizations who want to optimize midway, which means we have a, let's say, 1 year, 2 year engagement, and you midway start making changes, for which again you require more resources. I believe Hitesh was on different planet, and that's the perspective I gained. Bulk of our migration we did last, I think, 3 or 4 months. On TCO, we were not, all the calculations were on the other side. We were burning on AWS, we were burning on GCP. And what Hitesh wanted is that, he said, Avdesh, give me visibility of each thing at a project level, resource level, even within the Kubernetes, namespace level. I just want to have the visibility, and then I believe if you give me enough visibility, I should be able to. In terms of maturity, I have never seen an organization like them. So we moved everything and then we optimize at a scale. I have never seen people optimizing at level, whether it's a commits, it's a spot, lot of things. I mean, lifecycle management. This shaved off very easily 60%, 70% in terms of object storage, just looking at things. So hats off to them. They were really mature. Okay, we can burn 1 month, 2 months, but again, I want to take my decision when I have the whole picture, right? I will not commit, I mean, n number of codes. Here we're talking about tens of thousands of codes. It's not right, but they were patient, and then once everything, the whole picture was there, okay, these number of codes, spot, commit, all those things. And for me, it's a learning for me. That's how you approach FinOps.
What really is helping us is we started with Looker dashboards, and now we have more than 150 plus dashboards catering to each and every need. Each EM has its own dashboard, which looks almost daily. And also adding to what you said, we did not put focus on spot early in the journey. For us, we wanted to migrate first, and then say, now we are stable, now let's focus on spot. That's what we're doing right now.
Behind every great achievement, there are always some learnings. So if you were to share a few learnings with the audience today, what would those learnings be?
Wastage on cloud is very easy. We have all the power, all the resources that we need. If some application is not working or is throwing OM, something like an error, it's very easy for us to say scale up and then we can probably solve all the challenges. But it's equally important to come back and say, this is what was not working and this is what we need to fix. Again, cadence is again a major part of keeping your cost in control. Also, one of the things that we probably would want to do is put more of AI into cost. Not rightly on the dashboards, let's say dashboard, the cost updates after a day. But there are a lot of metrics that are generated daily, logs that are generated daily. Putting AI or identifying anomalies on top of that really helps. One example is we saw a data transfer increase between two different AZs, and we were able to identify that anomaly. Again, that was probably a manual effort. We understood that these two machines are talking much more than they should, and if we would have waited for cost dashboards to update, we would have identified a day or two later. By then we would have burned some money. So putting anomaly at right places, detection at right places really helps.
So 2 learnings for me. First of all is if I'm migrating, so it's just like a house whitewashing. Once you do, you get rid of a lot of things, right? And my experience is that if you get rid of things before, it's easy because then you don't need to carry all those things, and then that is something I believe we could have done. I think for us it's a learning that we need to put a governance before. And second thing is on we knew which is the PaaS service using in AWS, and now what is the PaaS service I'm going to use in Google. Obviously I need to refactor my applications, and the moment we did the workshops, I believe we could have started the journey of refactoring at the same time in parallel with my application teams. I think we waited a little bit. I'm sure they had a busy schedule, a lot of features, a lot of pipeline they had in terms of product. But again, I believe that is something we could have done in parallel and shaved off a couple of months.
Could have a couple of months, truly said.
Now, shifting gears a little bit, coming on the topic of AI. Right now, every organization is also trying to democratize AI with their employees, are also trying to train some of the data sets. There are companies like DeepSeek who are training their own models. They have successfully done so. Now, in the journey, if you look at enterprises taking a stab at AI and training their own model, what are some of the learnings you would want to share with us?
So everything that we do at Wink and Extreme, these are end-facing applications, and a lot of things that you see, there are multiple models we have. Whatever you are seeing on your screen, that has to be captive. Whatever you are hearing has to be as per your choice. So a lot of AI modeling goes behind what genre you might like, what music you have heard, till where you have heard a song, what kind of music was there, who was the singer. A lot of attributes are there. And these kind of learning we have built into both applications, both Wink and Extreme, where everything that you see is personalized. One of the examples of AI would be where one is My Radio, which plays next song based on its how famous the song is. The other one is which is personalized recommendation, is more focused to your needs. So that both of them kind of helped us to increase engagements.
Any learnings, any approaches that you took towards migrating the recommendation specifically?
So I'll give you an outside experience. So the industry in which Airtel Digital works, recommendation is a key differentiator. You have a number of applications and each have the all exact content, but again, how you personalize and that curate that content, that differentiates. And I believe Airtel is doing a wonderful job. And I'll give you some technical aspects of it. They're running about 1500 Spark jobs, 10 PPs of data. And then from that, everything is happening. When the job runs, they were consuming tens of thousands of cores. The scale at which they were running. When they were migrating, I think the bigger improvement came is when they upgraded some of the libraries. And once they upgraded on a GCP environment, they required much lesser capacity, again, which resulted in a lot of cost saving.
I think we were able to save 20-30% on compute costs for training those models.
I see. What are some of the most promising AI use cases that you are currently have explored or are currently exploring?
Right. As I said, one of the key things that we need to drive is make sure that the user stays on the app. The recommendation that churn out should be more captivating. If the next song or the song after that is not for you, you will skip that a lot. And engagement for app like us really matters.
Thank you so much for your time today with us.
Thank you.
I'm sure it is insightful for the audience today. Thank you so much, Hitesh. Thank you so much, Avdesh. Thanks all for patiently listening to us.
Thank you.